Alright, hello everyone, this is Crota coming at you. Today is St. Patrick's Day for all of you, well, St. Patrick Irish people out there. If you guys actually know St. Patrick and the fact that he was English as opposed to Irish, then, well, hats off to you. If you didn't, well, you know now, as I am getting started in a game between WFZ versus Elegant. WFZ spawning as the blue undead player here on the bottom left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Elegant is spawning as the red night elf on the top right. I'll try to refer to them as Night Elf and Undead throughout the rest of this matchup, since they do not have their names right above their units, and therefore can make me a little bit confused. Now, I do understand that I've been casting a little bit under the weather as of late, a little bit tired, and yeah, just really trying to, burn myself at both ends between work, life, and family, just family obligations. My apologies that the quality isn't up to snuff. I realize it as well. For all of you guys who are hating on me, and for all you supporters, thank you for the well wishes, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy watching these casts. Now, down over here, we are going to see an Ancient of War creeping out this 333 creep camp. Not quite the same as the 533 creep camp, which would almost give level 2. We are also going to see a very early Ghoul Scout, as Melting Valley is a rather large map for one of those 1v1 maps. Yes, there isn't a lot to get in the way between the two starting bases, unopposed to, like, say, Terranistan, but the walking distances between the maps are still rather large. You're going to find yourself taking quite a bit of time as this school is now making its way off to the north. Alright, Ancient of War is already turning around and going to be creeping out this Troll Trapper creep camp, and you can see that the Ancient of War, how much damage it really does here. One hit does 80 damage, and that is because of that medium armor. Alright, that Troll Trapper already down to 19 hit points. We are now waiting for the Warden as the primary hero, and the Warden already picks up a Claws of Attack plus 6. Very nice item there. As you can see that this Troll Trapper, cannot take another blow. He will end up falling at the hands of the Ancient of War, making sure to keep all of that experience within the heroes. Now, the Death Knight, however, has sold his Scroll of Town Portal and has picked up a very early Unholy Aura. What is the strategy behind this? Well, it is going to be ghouls, and ghouls, with maybe some skeletal minions as well, as the Death Knight really wants to come in and harass. That Death Knight with Unholy Aura gets a 10% early movement speed bonus, which is enough to really chase down these fast, agile Night Elf heroes during the day and night. As soon as that Warden, however, picks up Boots of Speed, that is going to shift things in favor of the Night Elf, but the Death Knight can pick up Boots of Speed of his own. All he's really doing right now is trying to delay this Warden from getting a lot of experience, because the Warden usually takes the early stages of the game to try and gain all of that experience, while the Death Knight still needs to rely on the rest of his army to appear. By keeping all of the ghouls back at home for a little while longer, he is then able to harvest and collect a fair amount of lumber before really pressuring out. That's what we're seeing here, as the ghouls are perhaps trying to get a good surround onto some of those archers. No, gonna completely ignore this, and now the Warden and the archers have to play a little bit of game of catch-up to try and figure out what's going on there. There's a quick detonation. The Warden has to be very careful. Is the Warden gonna get surrounded? It looks as though the Warden is not, but all of a sudden the archers are now in a bit of trouble. Alright, this Warden trying to run back around. Is she gonna be able to get away? Now running all the way to the very back, aggroing the creeps, and now taking a little bit of damage there. Alright, let's go ahead and try and take down this Warden. You can see that that Warden is taking a bit of damage. There is the Shadow Meld once more, as the Warden still taking a little bit of damage. Not much though, down to about 285 hit points, and falling as she is now being forced to pull back. You can see there is a new Ancient of War off to the north, and many Night Elf players have been opting for this double Ancient of War strategy for dual AOW creeping. It allows him to train up more archers while the other Ancient of War is creeping, and it also allows you to creep out a much more difficult creep camp than you would be normally able to do. Moonwell, Hunter's Hall, now being set up off over here. Let's take a look. Death Knight now off to the north. We could have him try and aggro the creeps already, and that Ancient of War taking a bit of damage well before the rest of the army is there, and that is a definite problem, as that Ancient of War has not even really started to eat any trees. Already down to about half life. Nicely played there, as the Warden now finally gets to level, or finally tries to train up that Shadow Strike. Alright, it looks as though the unit was taken down just by the hands of the Death Knight, but it looks as though that one ghoul will get taken down as well. Alright, the Death Knight trying to catch up to this Warden. The Warden is actually going to get padded a bit, but doesn't take a blow until the very end. The Death Knight may be able to catch up here. The Warden should have Blink. I'm not exactly sure why it is not trying to blink away. It is at level 2. And there's another blow as the Warden gets enough mana to survive ever so barely and squeaks away again. The Ancient of War will get taken down there, even with fortified armor. Constant poking from those trolls were enough to destroy that fortified building. Alright, Warden now going to be giving a little bit of a chasing after the ghoul. The ghoul trying to get away once again. It looks as though the Shadow Strike is going to get its ghoul. There it goes. No, the Warden finally got the last blow there, as we are now looking at the Death Knight trying to pressure the Night Elf base. This is not going well for the Death Knight at all, though. He has not really done any damage whatsoever, while the Warden is already sitting at level 2. There's Dust of Appearance. Getting an early Warden kill could turn things around, as another Shadow Strike lands on another ghoul. It looks as though this Warden wants some blood and is just dancing around back and forth. The Warden down to 66 hit points and is able to survive once again, heading back home and drinking up that Moonwell juice. Now that we have an additional Lich in the army composition, this is going to turn things around. A little bit of range damage can go a long way, especially if that range damage does have an AoE frost effect. That's exactly what we're going to have by adding this Lich right here. And there you have it. There's the attack. And all of a sudden, the Warden realizes how much danger she is in. There is a Shadow Strike onto the ghoul. And there is a Frost Nova. And all of a sudden, the Warden realizes, oh my goodness, that Shadow Strike, or that Frost Nova, is just doing way too much damage. I do need to back off. The archers, on the other hand, are doing a good job creeping out this creep camp here. And this may end up being a bit of a problem once again. All right, yes, one archer does get taken down. This one Warden getting stuck behind a pig. Oh my goodness, a pig forcing a blink, as that was just a bit too much damage. Alright, Ancient of War now attempting to train up archers. You can see that the Lich could be sitting there and just constantly poking away as well. The Troll Berserker is there as well, healing himself up, and now he's going to go ahead and engage against this Ancient of War here. Alright, Lich, or Skeletal Minion, is coming back over here. You can see a little bit of that frost armor, that additional bonus effect. The Skeletal Minions will be forced to back off. The Ancient of War down to about 500 some odd hit points, as the rest of the army does appear to kind of save this Ancient of War from taking any additional damage. So far, the Troll Berserker attempting to take down this one Ancient of War, not going to really work out, as it does finally go down. The Warden now sitting at level 2, very close to level 3. Meanwhile, Lich and Death Knight barely on the board with any experience at all, as we're now attempting to creep out this orange creep camp here. With Crypt Fiends, with the Death Knight, with a Lich, this camp should fall rather quickly, especially with an Obsidian statue now healing up the rest of the units in the back. This is where the Death Knight and the Lich will all of a sudden seem to catapult back into the game. It's very easy for them to creep out these high-level creep camps. Getting to level 2 or even level 3, it does not seem too difficult for this army composition here. What the Night Elf player is going to look to do is try and stop this while teching to Bears and Dryads, and hoping that his opponent doesn't have Destroyers in time. This very, very small window of the Death Knight and the Obsidian statues is really where it's at, as the Obsidian statue now, one being left behind. That's going to be very bad news if the Undead player decides to leave it. No, doesn't leave it. Now going to move with the rest of the army, as the Death Knight sitting at level 2, Lich sitting at level 1 with Orb of Corruption, and it doesn't look like we are getting a third hero, or perhaps we're going to pick up... Are we going to pick up a third hero? Yes, we are going to pick up a Dark Ranger. A Dark Ranger, very, very common, as the Bears are already out on the field. Alright, Dark Ranger can be very, very effective, especially if the Dark Ranger gets that black arrow and is able to just build up a very large army. We are probably not going to be seeing that since it isn't the primary hero. What we might see instead is Silence, which is going to shut down all of those heroes in the back. By getting that Silence and shutting down those heroes, all this one Warden is going to be is a very, very powerful, beefy tank unit without any spells. You can see that it also has a good amount of items here, though. Also using a healing ward and placing that down, that is the reason why this Warden is actually able to stay alive and is now sitting very close to, well, about level 4.5. If it does get to level 5 or perhaps even level 6, all of a sudden things are going to go from bad to worse for the Undead, as the Undead will be dealing with the Avatar of Vengeance. All right, there's a Death Coil. Are we going to see the Wisp now taken down? Yes, we are. The Warden is right there. Some easy damage. There is a Shadow Strike onto the Death Knight. The Death Knight only sitting at level 2. The Warden sitting at level 4, attempting to fight back the army here. The Dryads also bringing in a lot of damage as well. There's 2 quick dead ghouls as the Warden still giving chase. The Bear is very strong here. There is 1 Destroyer in this group, and if the Destroyers can actually perhaps eat through some of the Bears enough while the Dryads are taking too much damage. Oh, there is a Goblin Zeppelin now getting webbed. A new Crypt Fiend down over here. What is happening next? The Goblin Zeppelin is still not unloading the cargo as there is a Death Coil onto the Crypt Fiend. Alright, it looks as though the Bear is going to get taken down. Yes, it does. The Warden is still right there, right there though, with a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. The Death Knight has to be very careful. Transfers a Potion of Invulnerability to the Death Knight instead. And oh, a beautiful blink just to get away just in time. The Obsidian Statue is still doing a great job here, but without enough Crypt Fiends to really deal with all those Dryads, the Crypt Fiends and the rest of the Undead army will be forced to back off. Yes, a number of Bears were taken down in that scrimmage, but even though some Bears were taken down, without any Crypt Fiends, those Dryads are pretty much going to go unchallenged, and unchallenged Dryads equals dead Destroyers, as we're now looking here. Alright, in comes the Warden. There is a Death Coil trying to save that Destroyer. Alright, Shadow Strike onto the Lich. The Lich trying to stay alive is going to be able to. There's a Death Coil saving it once again. A Potion of Anti-Magic Potion now onto the Warden in the back here. We are still looking to try and save all of these units, as there is another Death Coil again. The Destroyer, oh my goodness, this Warden's so low on hit points. What is happening? Both sides moving around left and right. It looks as though the Dryad may get taken down. The Warden is able to blink forward, get the kill, and maybe perhaps even get a Destroyer. And that is the GG. Well played by Elegant. Elegant taking game 1 in this series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed game 1. Please stay tuned for game number 2.